All right, here we are. Another Thursday, back at it. Weekend fast approaching us for the games. What we got? 2 more weeks left, and then we hit another international break. So, as much as I'm looking at the fixtures this week and thinking, there's not too much there. There's a little bit more in the Scottish League, although a lot of the 3 p.m.s this weekend in the Premier League are interesting. But it's one of those where you kind of feel like you're maybe going to float by the weekend a little bit. If you've got an option to do something else plan-wise, you might go ahead and take it. I think if you're going to be watching, you're all tuning into 4:30 on Sunday, aren't we? In Newcastle and Arsenal, which is the big one. But let's go through the form table. I think first of all for both leagues, we'll start with the Prem form table. We'll go through the Prem fixtures, and then we'll look at Scotland. But if we just have a quick look at, if I put my coffee down here because I'm enjoying it in the morning, I'm actually going to take a sip of it. Being a bit more free in these videos because I've been stressing out my nut about making it professional and everything like that, and that's not what this whole thing is about. It's on the spot. So come on, let's get into this. Form table wise, if we take a little look at it there, as we know, Liverpool are at the top with 5 games played, 5 games won. Arsenal just sitting behind them. They've got a draw and a loss. But if we just kind of scroll down the league table, I mean, I don't think, is there anything that's probably City sitting in 9th's the biggest surprise. It's 2 wins out of the 5 with 2 losses and then the draw against Arsenal there. So they've really struggled to get themselves going. Seen a really interesting clip on TikTok on the Off the Ball podcast, and they had Graham Hunter on, who I really, really like. Graham Hunter, if I really think about it, has been someone that's kind of made me probably think about subconsciously getting into this space of trying to do things like this and being interested in it. He had a podcast early on, 2015 or something like that, when podcasts were like not a thing at all. It was called The Big Interview with Graham Hunter. You guys should go check that out if you can still find it online. I'm sure you can be. And he had a lot of really, really good interviews in there. But he was talking about Pep, and the guy asked him the question basically, is this the first time we've seen this from Pep Guardiola with what we've seen against him on Sunday with Arsenal going a bit more defensive? And he said, listen, he interviewed Pep Guardiola in 2009, just as it was all kicking off, and Pep was saying to Graham Hunter, he said one of the big things he took from the interview was, I've got friends that are struggling with money right now and having to pay their mortgage after the financial crash and everything. And he's like, I want to entertain them. I'm so glad the football we can give them brings them joy. And then he said he interviewed him again in the 2011 before the Champions League final, and he kind of threw him that line and said, he's still feeling that way. And he basically said, no, like, it's about winning. It's about winning however we do it. And it's really interesting because we've had all these talks about styles and everything like that. It's been a big part of this kind of podcast, video stuff that I've been doing in each kind of segment that we've talked about with regards to where the game is at. And look, Pep, I think, even said in his interview after the weekend that he would rather have the ball. But it is interesting that Graham Hunter alludes to it as that, look, he at the end of the day is just about winning. And he felt at that time with how football was, his best way to win was playing that way and suffocating teams and keeping them high up the pitch and doing all those things. And I think the game has changed now. It has changed. And he's now having to maybe adapt and re-find himself a little bit. And, winning is winning at the end of the day. I do keep saying that. It doesn't matter what you do as long as you win games. I've said it about Liverpool this season. Everyone keeps saying we're not playing great, but it's 5 from 5 and you're winning games. Like, you're not. I think it's a false thing in everyone's head that, like, the top teams play very, very, very well in every single game. Look, there's even City games under Pep Guardiola where it's been really, really tight. They've struggled to break another team down. And there's loads of times I've watched it and I'm like, this is boring, man. They're just going side to side, and eventually they would find a way to win through De Bruyne or someone or Aguero or something like that. But everyone doesn't play this like amazing kind of open, expansive, eye-watering, open football like all the time. I think even your mind plays tricks on you. Like, yes, the Pep Barcelona team were incredible, a huge influence on me, why I got into coaching, have influenced the game for the last 10, 15 years. But I'm sure there was games where it wasn't great. I'm sure there was games where they had to dig it out a little bit. I'm not saying they would go defensive and go 5 behind the ball or anything, but I'm sure there was moments in games where they had to dig it out. So it was just really interesting insight there from Graham Hunter. And yeah, I wonder if Pep does have the hunger. It feels like Graham Hunter said this, it feels like he's staying on to kind of be loyal to the owners and stuff while the charges are going on. Like, it felt like Pep should have left this summer. It really did with it. I know he signs the contract, but it felt like he should have left this summer. So let's see if he can get the quote-unquote rebuild done there. But City, the most interesting team, kind of floating down there ninth. You then got Everton and United. Newcastle as well. It's been a poor start to the season for them. I mean, you say poor, 6 points or 4 points off of Bournemouth, but you don't want to start to fall behind these teams, especially someone like Bournemouth that does not have European football and can play week in, week out and really benefit from Areola training them on the training pitch. I know they have a very drab 0-0, which I went through last weekend, but and then as we keep going down, Aston Villa. I mean, Ali Simpson, you called this in our group chat, no one is talking about how bad Aston Villa have been and how poor their start to the season is, and all eyes are always on Man United and always will be because they're the bigger club and the bigger headline, but Villa have been horrendous. We've got 2 losses and 3 draws in there, 1 goal from Matty Cash, which really, really the keeper should save, the Sunderland keeper, and Villa just, something's gone from there. I know like Monchi's left from behind the scenes, there's a bit of change and everything, and Villa fans will say it's PSR rules, but I don't know what Villa, just like Elliott wearing the number 9, like sometimes you just look at things and you're like, something's just a wee bit off. I know that's like a stupid thing to say, like Elliott wearing the number 9, but that for me, those things always happen. Like something just feels off there. So they're obviously a bit of a surprise all the way down the bottom, and then Wolves, who have been in the league for a long time, but I've tipped them. I think they're down. I think they're struggling. Did they beat Everton in the week in the cup? I think they do. Everton maybe will be like, but I don't know if Everton are a chance to in a place to really challenge for cups, solidify themselves top half of the league away from relegation. But Wolves on 0 points, goal difference of -9, scored 3, conceded 12. So you would fancy whoever have them this weekend, which is Spurs at 8 p.m. on Saturday night, to probably go there and do them. So let's get into the fixtures then. I think probably the second most intriguing game on TV anyway in England is Brentford and Manchester United at 12:30. And we see Man United go ahead and beat Chelsea in what seemed to be just quite a bizarre kind of sad game for 2 clubs that are just a bit mental and a bit mad, and for their names they should be kind of in around the top and they're not. Chelsea mad for different reasons. Man United we know all about. I'm not going to continue to go into it, but sometimes again you can get stuck up on the name and your recency bias in your head and your subconscious, and you think Brentford, and they are still tough to play, but it's not Thomas Frank's Brentford with Mbeumo and Vissa, we know that. Albeit they actually have done a lot better than I think people thought they would have done under Keith Andrews. But it's a sticky one for United, it is, and you can't go and beat Chelsea and then not go and win there. It would just continue this cycle on, which I think they'll continue to do. I think it's Brentford and then Sunderland they have. So look, United could easily walk away with 6 points from this game. Brentford will be physical, they'll be tough, which I think will be interesting. I think De Ligt's been quite good at being physical this season. We know the United keeper is not, so if Brentford can maybe play those long throws and getting in amongst the set pieces and everything like that, I think that could be a real trouble for United in any game, but in particular this game. So we'll see. I honestly don't really know how that one's going to go. I'm leaning towards Man United winning. I don't know if that's just scoring for my whole life and not taking into account recent years every single week that they play. I feel like they could win. But it's a tough one. It is a tough one. Wataro at Brentford's a really good signing. And like I say, I just don't think they're maybe going to be as bad as we think they were going to be. And Keith Andrews has got a bit of a point to prove. Everyone's been kind of saying, including myself, he's going to go early doors. And, he's got a point to prove there. It's a home game. It's 12:30. I don't know. I can see like a 1-1 there. Not a lot of goals. I'm going to go 1-1 for that. Brentford, Manchester United. A point apiece. I don't know if United fans would take that. Let me know. I think you maybe would. I think like not losing right now for United is just better than winning. Like Amarim's not won 2 games back to back yet in the league, has he? So that's huge. If he can get that monkey off his back. When you're in this place, every time you can get rid of a shitty record, right? Something like that is always a huge, and it's a step forward. And like if I'm Amarim, I'm maybe even looking at things like that. All right, boys, we haven't won 2 in a row here yet. Let's get that duck off our back. Let's get that monkey off our back. Let's go do it. Cool. Done. Moving to next week. Sunderland at home, I'm pretty sure it is. They've just come up. Okay, they've been good. I've been impressed with them. We should be beating them. Let's go. That's 3 on the bounce now. Right? That's 6 points. Sorry, that's 9 points from our last 3 games. So there's a lot there for United to take from, and that's how I'd be looking at it for Amarin. But I'd be going 1-1. 3 o'clock's again, very, very interesting. We've got Chelsea and Brighton, which decent. I say decent game. Is it like Chelsea or drab for me? Maresca's. Been trying to watch all the press conferences, and listen to the managers and hear how they talk. So I think it's a good way and a good idea to get along with the teams week to week. Obviously, that's not something mad. Journalists will be like, yeah, no problem. Jim White will be having a field day with me saying that, but I just don't. I liked Maresca last year. I liked the way he talked. I liked the way he kind of stood and acted. And I did say in my video on Monday that I like Maresca, but I don't know. As time's going on, I'm starting to not. I'm starting to feel like it is a bit. It's a bit boring. It's a Pep Guardiola imitation that isn't great. And look, I don't think he's helped by the way Chelsea are doing things with how they want to bring players in and out and constantly switching and having all these guys that he's having to try and play and keep happy, and having guys like Sterling look like he's training at about midnight, and there's a lot going on there, so I don't blame him for that stuff. But his style is boring. It reminds me of a lot of coaches I used to see out in America that would get a lot of plaudits for style, and I used to be like, this is drab. I'd rather go watch. At the time, it was a lot of the Hispanic teams out there that are just going to be quite direct, to be honest, and cause chaos, and kids are going to shoot from miles out and then they'll be hitting the bar and all of that stuff. I would just rather watch that. So Chelsea and Brighton will be an interesting one. I think draw there too, honestly. Brighton decent, but they float around that 8th kind of spot for a reason. They are where they are because of the inconsistency. So I don't know. I'm going to go draw. It's not going to be one of the ones I'm really going to predict for. Palace and Liverpool, very, very interesting game. If I have my stat correct here, I think Palace are unbeaten in 17 games. So Liverpool have got to go there and they've got to go and beat them. We obviously tried to lure Gahey away. Leone does his ACL in the week, which is a shame and kind of puts even more spotlight back on the centre-half positioning for Liverpool. But that is not going to be an easy game, and that's the first one I think where you can look at Liverpool potentially dropping points. And if they do not, and Arsenal see that and they have to go to St James's Park on Sunday with potentially being 8 points behind Liverpool if they don't win that, at this stage of the season is absolutely massive. And Palace, the new boy Pino looks really good. It looks like he's settling in. Look, we know what Glasner's going to do. They're going to be a decent side. That's going to be a good game. If I'm around the belt and I'm not out with Holly and doing some things, because I think I'm going to give the Saturday to doing that. I'm not too intrigued in watching many of these games on Saturday. Then I'll watch that. Obviously, I'll get that on the Fire Stick, but could be a sticky one for Liverpool. It could be, but Ekitike does his stupid celebration, which I thought Arne Slots handled so well. And speaking on that, I'm actually going to get something up here. Excuse me while I have a sip of my coffee. Trying not to have dead airtime. That is a Joe Budden thing, if anyone knows who Joe Budden is. He's a big podcaster. But I got sent this from my mate Sam Hobbs. Thank you for this, Samuel. He sent this in our group chat. This is Arne Slots' record, right, which I will pop up on the screen as I'm talking about it, and it's really, really interesting. Not interesting, it's actually amazing. So if we take away, he's got Camber here. Well, we'll chuck them in. Why not, right? He managed a team called Camber from 15th of October 2016 to 30th of June 2017, and this is what I'm talking about, winning. And when I seen this, I thought, God, we didn't know who he was, and this is why Liverpool have gone for him, right? So they play 34 games, they win 21, they draw 6, they lose 7. They score 75 goals, they concede 31. He has a win percentage rate there of 61.76%. He then goes to AZ Alkmaar on the 1st of July 2019, and he manages them until the 5th of December 2020, right? So he has 58 games there at Alkmaar. He then wins 32 of them. He draws 16 and loses 10. His AZ Alkmaar team score 118 goals in that time period, and they concede 52. A goal difference of plus 66. He has a win percent rate of 55.17%. He then goes to Feyenoord, July 1st, 2021 to 31st of May, 2024. He has 150 games. He wins 98, he draws 29, he loses 23. His Feyenoord team in that time score 344 goals. I know it's the Dutch league, don't get me wrong, I know all of that, but that's a shit ton of goals. They concede 150. He finishes up with a goal difference there of plus 194. and a 65.33% win rate. If we then move into Liverpool, we know he's obviously won the league and what he's doing, but if we move to Liverpool 1st of June 2024, he has managed 64 games, he has won 45, he has drawn 10, he has lost 9, but again, very, very interestingly, his Liverpool team have scored 137 goals. They have conceded 63 with a goal difference of plus 74 and a current win percentage of 70.31%. So in total, he has 306 games in management. He's won 196. He's drawn 61. He's lost 49. But for me, massive here, which we're seeing from Liverpool, and people keep saying they keep winning it late. This is a hallmark of his team. In those 306 games, his team have scored 674 goals. They've conceded 296. He has an overall win percentage as a manager of 64.05%. Massive. I just thought that was like, wow, it's the goals for me, really, and the wins, right? The goals and the wins. The goals typically are going to get you wins, but it's the goals and the wins for me that is interesting there. So off the back of that, now I'm getting excited. I'm rambling on about the Reds. I think Liverpool can do it there. I think they'll concede. I think it'll be 2-1 to Liverpool away at Selhurst Park. Would I take a point? We're 5 from 5. You can't say that drawn one there is a bad result. Maybe, but I'm like Slot. I'm going there to win. I'm there to win. Wrapping up the 3 p.m. games, we've got Leeds and Bournemouth. Bournemouth should be winning that game. If they're going to do anything a little bit different and a little bit more special this season, they need to be going and beating the teams that have just come up. Like, every game's really difficult. We know that. Leeds have just beaten Wolves. I don't think that says too much, but they'll be bouncing off of that. So Bournemouth need to come in and do that. I do think Bournemouth will do it. City have Burnley at home. It should be, a straightforward one for City. You do think so? Again, I just don't think Burnley are going to come and they're going to do what they tried to do to Liverpool. And if City can't break them down, then fair play. But I expect City to get a win there. We move into half 5, which is Forest and Sunderland. And again, if I'm kicking around somewhere close by a TV, I want to tune into that just to see Ange, because it's not going well for him so far in terms of just draws. And I don't know. I have a weird feeling that that's really not going to work. And I really think that Forest could be in a position where they've done the classic sack someone that it was going all right with due to style, and then really just struggled to clamber themselves back to being anywhere near where they were. I don't know. I just have a feeling we are who we are, mate. As he says, I don't know if that was a good Australian accent or not, but we are who we are. That might be an interesting half 5 game because Sunderland are going to go for it a little bit. They're showing that they've got a little bit about them. Moving into the night time. Sorry, I'm trying to scroll my laptop up here. We need to get a better setup for it, but it's all about learning, folks. It's all about process. We move into Spurs Wolves at 8 o'clock. That should be straightforward for Spurs. They should not be dropping points at home to Wolves. Thomas Frank, again, if he's going to do something with Spurs and get them back up there in the mix, that kind of top 6, that's a game they should be taking. I'm going for a Spurs win there, 3 points. We move into Sunday. We've got Villa and Fulham. I don't think I can watch that. I think that's going to be I just think that's going to be tactically quite boring to watch, to be quite honest with you. I really do. And then we have Newcastle and Arsenal at 4:30 Sunday, which I will talk about more deeply right now. And we finish off, we got a Monday Night Football back at Everton and West Ham, which that could be a bit of a rough watch as well. But Newcastle always bring it to Arsenal. They love being physical. They love getting after them. They love making it tough. Arsenal don't like it when other teams do that to them. It's been a good game to watch in the last 18 months, so I'm really looking forward to that. That is without a doubt best game of the weekend, isn't it? There, and watch this. It'll be a tactical drab 0-0, 1-1, which we've seen from the bid games, and people just not going for it and not going for the risks anymore in those games. But Newcastle's goal scoring issues are a problem. I like Anthony Gordon. The new boy will have time to settle in. They've got Willock, they've got Barnes, they've got Alanga. I like all of those guys. Are any of them getting you upwards of 8 to 10 goals a season between them, like individually? I don't know. I think that could be their problem. They're going to need to make sure the new boy can stick it in the back of the net, or one of them starts to find real goal scoring form. And I always think that if you think about the top players recently, the wingers that are really strikers, Salah, Mane, Mahrez, Sané, even Sterling in his prime time. Who else have City had off that wing that I'm trying to think of that used to come in there? I'm probably missing a lot of people, but Saka, right? Like people that just have output off the wings, and I just don't know if the Newcastle wingers have those output. But that is game of the weekend. What do I think? Arteta's been very buzzing about this, the CEOs and all that, texting him about what he'd done to City. I think they lose. I think Newcastle beat them. I'm going 2-1 Newcastle or 1-0. One goal. I think they lose, and I think a bit of pressure starts to heap on them. And the things that I said in my preseason prediction video, where how's he going to handle the heat? I just don't think he's going to change the way he's going to play. Let's see if he does start with an attacking minded team. But again, I don't think that's a bad game to go with your Moreno, Rice, and Zubimendi midfield. I'd actually probably go with that, right? Over Eze, and then maybe have Eze to come on at some point later on in the game when people are a bit tired to try and hurt them. But I think Newcastle beat them, and I think we get to the point where the pressure starts to pile on them a little bit, especially if my Liverpool prediction is correct for the 3 p.m. game. So that's what I'm going with there, folks. If we just quickly move into the Scottish League table and we have a little bit of a look at that, we know Celtic are sitting top. Hearts, very, very good start to the season. Same point to Celtic on 13. Dundee United, who've been surprisingly very good. Talk about them not having any Scottish players and people not liking it. They're sitting third. Hibs again with the draw in the week against Falkirk. Just can't get wins, Hibs, can they? They're not losing games, but they can't get wins there. You see, it's a win and 4 draws in the first 5, and yeah, they'll need to try and turn the screw a little bit there and trying to start turning those draws into wins. So that's the kind of form table there. Falkirk kind of jumping up a little bit. We know obviously Rangers are down there in 10th. They won't be down there for long. They'll be back up there in the mix. But that's the table there. If we have a look at the fixtures, some decent ones. We've got Celtic and Hibs at 3 o'clock. Good game, but again, Hibs are just not turning. I don't know if Hibs, after watching them against Rangers, like they're good, they're decent. I don't think they've got enough to go to an Old Firm team and beat them. I'm going to go with Celtic to beat them there. Dundee United and Kilmarnock will be a good game to watch. Dundee United at home at Tannadice. They'll be looking to continue to build. Hearts and Falkirk. I actually really wanted to go to that game. I'm not going anymore. I was looking at getting tickets just because I want to see Falkirk just with John McGlynn and Cole Donaldson plays there, and obviously family ties to Hearts as well. It would have been a good game, but that's another decent watch at 3 o'clock. St Mirren and Dundee at 3, and then it's a repeat of the Cup game with the game being the other way around with Motherwell at home to Aberdeen at 5:45, which might be an interesting watch, but the Aberdeen manager, he's going to go, isn't he? He needs to. I don't think he's going to turn that around. I think he's done. I think he's going to go and he's going to get sacked. And then Sunday we've got Livy against Rangers, which, as we know, every single game for Russell Martin is going to be absolutely massive. I actually think Rangers will be sound there. Wouldn't surprise me if Martindale can do something, but I think they'll be sound there. I'm going for a Rangers win in that game. So again, nothing like massively to talk about. Celtic and Hibs, the 2 big name games. But it's Motherwell Aberdeen on the telly on Saturday, and it's Livingston v Rangers on the telly on Sunday. So we go again. We do go again. I'll get predictions up and post it again as a picture. I'll have a little deeper thought about some of the games and put some up there about what I think. Join in, please. As always, subscription service. Patreon will be launching next week. I've got it up and running, just testing it out. So Patreon will run alongside the grouped page. Patreon's a bit more of a known brand name, so we'll run it alongside grouped and just see if you guys are interested. You can sign up to that. It'll be it's the same. It's about £6 a month after taxes and fees and everything like that. So yeah, subscribe, like if you enjoy it. It's a sunny day. We're still getting sunny ones. It's a bit crispy. It's a bit cold, but I like those autumn months. But the nights are drawing in. They are drawing in, and we know when those clocks go back after that next international break, it's when the real football starts, and I can't wait for it. As always, until the next one, peace. Have a good one.